Hi everyone, it's me, Rajika. So I'm back, and we're going to talk a little bit about the settler's guilt. If you live anywhere on colonized land, I know you've probably felt it. It's that really awkward kind of unexplainable ickness that you sometimes feel. It's just like this weird radiation that lingers in the background. And we really think that this is a modern problem. With awareness comes, the realization of what our cultures have done. But I am here to say that I don't believe that settler's guilt is new. I actually see it as the geoclanic tribes. So if you've seen my past video, we're talking about geoclanic tribes as being the white tribe. Um, but because of colonization, there needs to be some kind of buffer between the two, So when we're talking about geoclanic tribes, um, I think settlers' guilt is like the grieving of a lost limb, like a phantom limb pain. Um, and because our tribal history has been decimated, we don't have the language to really talk about the grief that we feel as a tribe because of the loss of the connection to not only our tribal teachings, but the very land. And in Canada, we know that it's a country full of immigrants. Um, so, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about how being severed from the land is now being expressed within what I call settler's guilt. So I don't know how much stock you put in history books because we are learning that they really are just storybooks. But it'll have you believe that, the colonization of the world started in 14 something or other. But really, before any of that was possible, the tribal peoples of Europe, so the Slavics, the German tribes, the Irish, the Celts and the Britons, um, they had to have been colonized first. So essentially, the governments and the church, particularly, they took over the commons, they took over the lands of the tribal people, they pushed the farmers off, um, and they basically cut down the sacred places that the geocentric tribes used in their rituals. And they then, of course, burned many of the wise people, women, herbalists, and those who understood the governance of the tribes of that time were burnt at the stake. There was a 700-year period where pretty much that knowledge was destroyed. So fast forward a couple 100 years, and you have a huge group of um, geoclanic people who have been displaced off of their lands. They've been ripped from their ancestors. They no longer are able to practice the earth knowledge that they have acquired, and they're living on other people's lands. So they were highly, of course, vulnerable in these lands. And so, somewhere around the 1700s, the political idea of whiteness as a race and as a superior race actually started to make an appearance. And so there was clans of people, Irish, Slavic, Italians, that weren't even thought of as white at the time. But in the displacement off of their ancestral lands, they often, or they, not often, they would eventually accept whiteness in place of their ancestral history for this systemic privilege that was being implemented around the world. So, just going back to what we're feeling right now as white people, coming to this awareness of our place in the medicine wheel and the complete and utter loss of our tribal understanding and wisdom. Yeah, so I think that this is what is playing out right now. We are looking around ourselves and realizing that we are standing on stolen land. And when you look back to try and think, where is my tribal land? You know, many of us of European lineage have no direct understanding of where our ancestral lines come from. So I believe that is part of what is being felt right now. We're calling it settler's guilt, but it truly is grief that that our ancestors have not been available to us for so many generations. So in this grief, there's people who double down and just become completely defensive. And of course, there's this appropriation that's going on of other cultures. And we try to consume those traditions because really our own clan is starving for ritual. But guilt, of course, is a closed loop, and it serves no real purpose because we have to walk past it. We have to actually look at where we are right now, which is on a land. We need to learn to essentially become stewards of the land of which we are on, in respect for the culture of whose land we find ourselves. So we are not indigenous to this thing, but the idea of ownership and the idea that we can give that up and become stewards of the land and stewards of the water and stewards of the planet would give us the strength to come back to our ancestral teaching, to remember them. And in order to do that, I think we really have to start listening to the land defenders of that are still intact. They're still here, and they still have the ancient knowledge that the white race, the colonized white race, has truly forgotten. So we need to remember it, and we can do that. We can do it together, and we can do it and regain our rightful medicine and our rightful place in the hoop of life.